Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott. Join us every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Learn more about the Experience community at our website, local.theexperience.video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Experience is brought to you each week by these great sponsors. The Jalot Home Team at Keller Williams Mid-Willamette Real Estate, the #1 team in Oregon, 541-451-2211, teamjalot.com. Make 2025 your best year ever. Set and track your goals with the Independent Planner. Designed for entrepreneurs by an entrepreneur. Supplement your digital calendar. Independent-planner.com. The Jim Coleman Insurance Agency. 541-753-2500. Auto, home, condo, renters, business, life, health, and even pet insurance. JimColeman.com. And now let's get on with the show. Indeed.
Yeah! I'm just going to start right off the top with excitement and Kermie. There you go.
Yeah, I
Hello.
think it's good. Here we are, winding down January 1/12 of 2025 is already.
Can you believe it?
Swimming right past us there.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's like, where did January go? It's like over in 2 days.
Yeah, it's just, I was thinking about all the Y2K stuff, and man, it's just like come and gone, and here we are 25 years later.
That is a shock. I mean, it really kind of blows my mind, but life, it just goes to show you how precious life is.
That's a great
experience of life.
That's a great thought right there, Russ. And, we talk about that often. This is the Experience live with Russ and Scott. And as you always say, it is about the experience of life. And you can't have the experience if you're not aware of what's going on around you, the people that are around you, and really taking stock of what is important in your life.
Are you living life, right? Are you engaging in life? That is what's important. And if you're sitting there and you are in a position where things aren't going great, join the club. I'm with you. We're all going through that stuff, but it's okay, because guess what? It's okay to get through some tough challenges in life and realize, though, that there's better things on the other side. Keep a good perspective, everybody, because life is all about perspective. The power of perspective I like to talk about. And I just want to remind you that there's a God who loves you, and that we pray for all of you guys that whatever you're going through, that you will take advantage of the celebrations of the good things of life. We were talking on backstage here just before this show, which, by the way, is 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every Wednesday with our friend Shri on Instagram only, where we prep for this show. But we're talking about celebrations. Today is a lunar celebration. It's the Chinese New Year celebration. There's all kinds of celebrations going on. Join the celebrations in your life around you and enjoy life. Right, Scott?
Yeah. And thanks to Ever in the background looking up that it is the year of the snake. And so just something to note and be aware of. It is important to many people in their culture, and just be aware of those types of things and celebrate with them. And please use the hashtag 1000thanks.
There you go.
Join the movement.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. Be thankful. When you enter life with Thanksgiving in your heart, everything looks better. And so we pray that you do that today. We want to remind you that we're here every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time for your viewing and listening pleasure. That's right. First of all, we go live here on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And then guess what? Then we become a video podcast that sits there forever. And then it converts to audio podcast. You can listen on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, whatever your favorite podcast platform is. So if you don't have time to watch on video, you can listen on audio.
Mhm.
And we're just so thankful we're able to do that. And if you go to local.theexperience.video, you'll get more information on Scott and I and more information on all the experience shows that we have going on, including the Experience Radio Network
Mhm.
that is part of one of our shows, the Experience Local. And Scott has a radio network there in Waco for the
Mhm.
Waco Experience as well.
So learn more at local.theexperience.video. And with that, let's get to the highlight of the show.
There you go. Lafaya is an amazing person. She and I had just an awesome talk a while back. So excited to have her coming on in. So let's just get things going. And here she is. Drum roll, please. Brrr, Lafaya Michell. Woohoo.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning. Very
morning.
happy to be here.
Yes. Well, we're happy you're here, Lafaya. You know, with that big smile, that just makes me feel good this morning. Makes me feel all warm and happy. So thank you for being here and spreading joy. And let's just start off with the basics. Who in the world is Lafaya and what are you up to?
Oh, man. Okay, everybody. So I'm Lafaya Michell. I am what I call a reluctant mother, new mother of 6, and I'll explain that later.
All right.
I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have been in private practice for over 20 years, working with mostly children and families on the autism spectrum. I learned recently that what I do in practice works very well for me also and for others in poker. So again, more explanation later. And I've recently written a book, Poker, a Woman's Game, and it's basically highlighting my life. Okay, so it's like my memoir. I'm telling people about what my day-to-day looks like, which is insane. And because there's so many things that I do and then how to take the concepts and things that you can learn through poker and apply them to life.
Well,
So pretty
and
much that's me. And I can't wait to share with you guys more. I know you probably have lots of questions. Oh, I'm sorry. And did I mention that over the past 3 months, I have co-authored 2 books, published another, and in the process of writing even another book, which is ridiculous, right?
yeah,
Wow.
so again, I think you live in a different time zone where there's more than 24 hours. So
You know
we,
what?
we got to find that. We got to find out what that is. And I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, you've written your memoirs. It's got to be like just volume 1
Oh,
because
thank you.
yeah,
Because I will be 50 in April. So thank you.
there we go. There we go. There we go. Yeah, much more to come. So tell us about some of these books.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so how Speechless came to be the very first book I mentioned, Speechless giving the hashtag voiceless a voice. That came to be because a friend of mine reached out and she said, "Oh my goodness, I know someone, her name is Lonnie Ray, who is helping writing an anthology. And she needs a few authors to contribute. And she said it's a book. The name of the book is Speechless. I was already intrigued when she said Speechless. The name of the book is Speechless, giving the voiceless a voice. And I was like, oh. And she said, I think that you might be able to share from the perspective of those on the higher end of the autism spectrum. And I'm like, oh, I would love to do that because I'd love to speak to how those who are on the high end of the spectrum, maybe they're not nonverbal, but they may be rendered voiceless often by all of the flooding in of just negative emotions and all of that. So I'd love to speak to that. So I spoke with this fantastic lady named Lonnie Ray. And she just immediately, as soon as she started to talk, I was like, oh, okay, I'm in, right? And we started to talk about just life in general. And I started to tell her about, I don't know why I talked to her about all these things, but I started to tell her about poker and just how as a woman, how tough that can be, getting to the table and, what could I possibly have something there because I've been looking at trying to merge my 2 worlds of therapist and poker player, which is, I guess to most people probably insane, but it works. And she said, so basically she said, so are you thinking you want to write a book about women in poker? And I was like, it felt right. So I was like, you know what? Yes, that little leap in your spirit. I was like, yes, I think I do, right? Because I really want people to understand the experience. And that's just how that came to be. We finished up our Speechless, Giving the Voiceless a Voice. It went international bestseller. She did her thing. She's really great. Each author was fantastic. And then the following week, she gave me a call. And she was like, "Okay, so are you ready to start your poker book?" And I'm like, "Oh." Well, I guess so. Yes, let's go. And 2 weeks later, we published this book.
Well, I got to tell you, first of all, we were introduced, I believe, by Lonnie Ray, and she is an amazing friend. And I think you and I talked about, I was blessed to be on Rattle Awake Volume 1,
Yes.
which was really her recent, I mean, she's been doing this for years, but her recent start of really doing a lot of anthologies with multi authors. And so I was so blessed to be part of that. And I've been able to work with her and other amazing people that I have met over the last few years. In fact, in the last year, I wrote 4 anthologies that were international bestsellers, #1 on Amazon, like we talked about, because of people like Lonnie Ray, who are much smarter than me with that. Just like my co-host, D. Scott Smith, is way smarter than me on this kind of stuff. He's going to help me this year. They're putting you on the spot, Scott. He's going to help me this year get out my new book, which I'm back writing and is going to happen.
That's good news.
And that is the Life Happens and Then You Choose. So I'm with you.
Everyone, you've heard it right here on the Experience Live with Russ and Scott, that Russ has made a commitment to write this second book, his follow-up to Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose.
That's right.
So we're going to all hold him accountable to that.
Please do.
Right?
Please
so send him text messages. How was it? How's it going this week? Right? Send them a text message. Send them on WhatsApp. Whatever works for you. Keep them honest.
And, I tell you, it is a blessing to have people like you in my life. But, back to you, Lafaya, I want to tell you that it is just such a rich experience to work with people that you get to know better, that you get to collaborate with and do great things, and then help you be able to accomplish some goals that you had, right?
Yes.
So talk a little bit more about, what was your first book? Was that was the poker book your first book, or was one of the anthologies first?
No. Actually, my first book was it was a parenting, my first book, right? Because this is how I live, right? When I wrote my first book, it was like a 60,000 word manuscript, or what I thought was my first book was a 60,000 word manuscript, because if you haven't noticed, I have a lot to say. I have a lot of words in here. And so, but I'll tell you a little story behind that one too. I had not fancied myself a writer, not since I was, I would say, maybe in the 6th grade. So 1st through 6th grade, I thought I was the best writer in the world. So in the 1st grade, I wrote a little book called My First Little Book. So if we want to talk about first books, My First Little Book in the 1st grade, my mom took it. She put it in the little manila paper on the outside and stapled it for me. And I had My First Little Book. Now my little brother scribbled all over it, and I was very sad. But now my second little book came in the 4th grade, Almost Perfect Except. Now this one, I wrote out, and I actually drew little pictures, and it was really cute. And one of my teachers was like, "Oh my goodness," to all the teachers, "Look at what she did." Right now my first real published books, they came out kind of in 3, right? So I wrote the 60,000 word manuscript, and then I met a woman who said, "Hey, you know what? We're not going to be able to give all of this information, because it was a parenting book, all this information to overwhelmed parents. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it down into," she said, "I see 7 mini books here, but let's start with 3." So I wrote this series that I eventually called the Lafaya Way series. And 3 books came from that. We published 3 books from that: A Fresh Approach to Parenting Hypersensitive Children. And then the second was Understanding Your Hypersensitive Child. And the third was Becoming the True Parental You. So those were my first 1 and 3 in 1 books that I wrote.
I love it. It's we often refer to Nike, since Russ and I are both from the Northwest, and the phrase they use, "just do it," right? And if you want to be a writer, you want to be an author, you want to be published, then write. If it's overwhelming, then talk to somebody like Lonnie who can help you get started. Start with those small steps. You started when you were young, as a child, and I count those as books. I count that as part of the process, because when you do something, you get better at it. And we often say that, especially as an entrepreneur, if you are not embarrassed by your first release, you waited too long, right?
Yes.
So just get in and write. Find someone like Lonnie that's going to help you, give you some structure, get the stuff out there. And just like me, when I published my first book in 2018, I'm down at Starbucks and I'm standing, and I had just got the notification, congratulations, from Amazon, right? And I'm standing in line down at Amazon or at Starbucks. I'm talking to this guy, and then it comes out, right? Because I'm all excited, and then he says, "Oh, so you're an author," and that took me aback, right? I will honestly say I was not willing to accept that title, which was wrong, right? I mean, this is like, yeah, I am. And so who we decide we are is who we can become, right? So let's talk about those folks that you work with.
Yes.
Go ahead. Tell us about
Okay,
that.
so I just have to say that just Lonnie Ray is just a force all by herself. When you say those folks that I work with, she is literally those folks. Okay. She's someone that I can really trust. I'll tell you, with my first book series, it was just an interesting process. It was a very painful process. I think it was more because I was being, I'm a bit hard-headed, and there was kind of a call to do this thing, and people had asked for years, like parents had asked for years, Lafaya, you have to share what it is that you're doing, because these kids, people are literally unable to engage the kids that I was working with. And then when I would start to work with them, the parents would always say, what magic wand do you have? You need to write a book. I had colleagues, you need to write a book. I said, I don't have a book to write about this. All I can say is it's a gift. It's just how I function. I don't know. They just do what I say. I don't know how else to, how do you put that into words? Right. But then the call, it got stronger and stronger over the years. And then pretty much the circumstances of life kind of pressed me in a way to where I had no choice. So then I was like, okay, God, then, and guys, you have to pardon me because I'm, like I said, I'm a brat, right? I was like, okay, God, if I'm supposed to write a book, then, whatever, I'll write the book, right? This was my attitude. I'll write the stuff, I'll write a book, because I don't know how to write. Like, what is this, right? And because, with years in schooling institutions, I thought that I did not like to write. I thought the last thing I wanted to ever do in life again after my master's program was write. So anyway, I finally, when I buckled down, the reason I ended up with the 60,000 word document is because everything was already in me. I just opened up and allowed it to flow out, right? So it just let it flow. And seriously, and with my other books as well, in 2 weeks' time, I had a 60,000 word document, right? So I'm writing day and night, and I'm handwriting, because I'm old school, so I'm handwriting everything until someone finally pointed out, hey, why don't you get your computer and type everything in that, since you had to transfer it all? And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And so, but yeah, wrote that out and got that going. And then, but it was a very painful process. Like, it was just almost like there were a lot of tears. There were a lot of breakdowns. So when I talk to people about the fact that I work with hypersensitive people, I want people to understand that I am very hypersensitive. This is why I understand in the way that I do. And I'm very, very blessed to be able to share with other people. I'm very blessed to be able to take all of what was pain to me and shift that into purpose and power, And so, so I met the first woman who I can't give mention to because she wasn't the most honest woman. And, but then now here we are, fast forwarded into the future. I meet a woman like Lonnie Ray, who is very trustworthy and who has a serious gifting for unlocking what's inside of you. And through just a couple of conversations, I was able to bring something to realization that I wasn't sure I would be able to do. So, which is my the merging of my two worlds of playing professional level poker, because I do not play at the other levels that people tend to know about. I'm not in the smoky rooms with the people who are super gambling, and I don't do that. I don't like any of that. I don't like the cash games. That's not my thing. And some people can do that, but that's not my thing. I'm more tournament poker, strategic, all the people, the little nerds with the mathematics and stuff. I'm in that world. So.
Well, you know what I love about you, Lafaya, is that you're so blessed. And I love your attitude towards all this. And, when you get with somebody like Lonnie Ray, I know that when I first started, my very first book was inspired and motivated by this guy right up here, Mr. D. Scott Smith. And that is why I pushed through and actually got that first book done. And then the second book that I did was with Lonnie Ray. And she was such a blessing to me and encouragement, and really the whole process. And it was such a smooth and quick process too, which was great, made it easy. And so when things are done like that, it gives you confidence that, hey, I can actually do this. I can be part of this. And I'm just so thankful for people like that in my life. And so I am so blessed as well. So, okay. So outside of writing books, give us a little snapshot on the other things you do before we run out of time.
Okay, so I have to say first and foremost that just a little backstory, because I have a lot of them. A little backstory. I have 3 children of my own, 3 adult children of my own. So I have my oldest son. He's 32. So, and if you guys can do math, yes, I was a teen mom. I had my son at 17. So, but I'll be 50 in April. But I have a 32-year-old. And then, I realized, hey, that was a pretty big mistake. So then I decided to have another one 10 years later. That made a little more sense. And so I have a 32, a 22, and a 20-year-old. Now, I was blessed with my brother's children. He lost custody. He ended up with a degenerative nerve disorder, and he lost custody of all of his children. So they had lots of struggles and could no longer care for their children. And so I ended up with a 1, 3, and 4-year-old 3 years ago. And so then there I was starting all over again. And so they take up a huge portion of my life. So now they are, thank goodness, 4, 7, and 8. They just turned the older 2, 7 and 8. The 4-year-old, she'll be 5 in March. But so they're a little older now, but I spend a lot of time with them practicing what I preach, because these children are truly hypersensitive children. They've been through a very tough experience, a very traumatic experience. They were placed in the Southern California, I'm trying not to speak against systems, child welfare system. And it took me 10 months from Northern California to get them out of there. So I had to fight for 10 months to get my girls. And I'm like, people, can you send my children? Because I actually train and teach you people, you social workers, parents, everything else, how to work with these kids. Like, I'm like the top candidate. Right. And plus, my brother, who could be a bit of a pill, he really leaves me alone. He may mess with everybody else, but he doesn't really mess with me. And so, send the kids. But anyway, I have these 3 beautiful little girls that they take up a huge portion of my life. And everything that I do, I mostly kind of do a little bit of this, and then go out there and do what I do with them. And then I go do a little bit of work, and then I come back and do what I do with them. So it's insane. Boy, what do I do? I have a private practice. I put in hours at the school that I grew up in. My history is a very tough history too, traumatic history. And so I work with the kids who are growing up where I grew up. So I do that on Fridays. And man, I guess I'm an author now. I'm writing. I'm on my 4th book now in a few months. And I'm a wife to a fantastic husband, and I love to put a lot of energy and time into that. As a matter of fact, right now I'm reading The Power of a Praying Wife. So because I want to make sure that I keep first things first. But yeah, my life is just very interesting, kind of
I
insane.
love that. I often say I am blessed to be married to a woman who prays, and we also raised three children, and when they were young, and people ask you, "Oh, Scott, what kind of hobbies do you have?" I'm like, I got 3 kids.
Exactly.
You know, you put the compass point on the school, you draw a 5 mile radius around it. It goes, if it's in there, I can do it. And that's it, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
but it is a blessing. It is a blessing. And I'm glad that there are experts like you out there. Because we're not born, no, we're born with an instinct to care for our offspring, right? I mean, that's built into us. What we do and how we navigate this world, we need help. And so I'm glad that you're there to help provide guidance and structure and care for those that are living in conditions that you grew up with. You understand it. And as we often say, thank you for choosing to live a life that makes a difference.
Definitely, definitely. Hey, and I want to jump in here and just say what a blessing you are, and so thankful that you were able to join us this morning. But I want to give you a last opportunity to give us a little gold nugget of our conversation today, what you really want people to remember from today about all that we talked about. And then let everybody know how they get in touch with you, because we want to make sure that people can reach out and get in direct contact with you. So go for it.
Okay, I think that what I really want for people to leave this conversation with is the understanding that if you do have, which I didn't talk about a lot, but if you do have someone in your life, or you yourself are, what I call hypersensitive, or just kind of have a tough time with your emotions, it's not like it's you life, kind of a life ending kind of thing, but it does cause difficulties in the way that you relate to others, or on the job, or just in life and in relationships in general. Then please make sure that you refer to some of my books, because what I do teach is how to relate to one another in a loving way, how to be true to yourself. And I teach it in 4 steps. So if you have, especially if you get, a bit upset at times, and some people just flat out call it a meltdown, you get upset sometimes. It's really important to learn how to kind of take the steps back and teach others how to do the same. And that's like my mission out there, is to teach people how to, just relate to one another in a way to where we're all really getting our needs met, and we're truly being the human that we're here to be, if that makes sense. So the ways to reach me are, you can go to lafayaway.com. And I think they have my name spelled everywhere. So that first name there, WAY.com, and you can find all kinds of resources there. And then if you're interested in that kind of play the hand you're dealt, that comparison to poker and life, which is very interesting, guys, by the way, then you can go to LafayaWayPoker.com. But you can reach me. There are ways to contact me if you have more questions. There's a contact me section on my website. So if not anything else, if you have a question, just reach out to me and I'll get back to you.
Awesome. Awesome. So great. Hey, you are one of my favorite new friends, because you're so joyful, and I appreciate you. And we're going to definitely stay in touch. Love to have you back on. In fact, I want to get you on one of my other live streams, so we'll have to talk about that. Okay. But in the meantime, hang tight. We're going to say goodbye to you here, but hang out in the green room for a minute, and Scott and I'll be right there after we finish up.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Well, Scott, I tell you, they get better and better every week.
Yeah, I don't think we could dump the Kermie little video and just replace it. I think we've got a bundle of energy right there today with Lafaya.
I know, but since we don't have her, Miss Kermie will have to do, huh?
Yeah. It's exciting to see people who are using their time wisely. Right. Yeah. We were just talking as we were beginning the show about experiencing life and enjoying it and being thankful for where we're at. and being able to capture your knowledge and share that by writing a book, by teaching others, by leaving a mark. And, for those folks that grew up in scouting and those types of things, and you go camping, they said, leave the campsite better than when you showed up. Right. And we want to do the same thing with the lives that we're impacting. Leave those lives better than when you showed up.
For sure. Absolutely. And you know what? Scott and I want to leave your life better. And so, number one, we want to encourage you to connect with Lafaya today and just, get to know her and all the things she can do for you and the experience she's had through these books too. Right. There's so many great people in the comments, like Lonnie Ray, like Leanna, and like Jill, that were part of some of the books that I did with Lonnie Ray. And so just such a great group of people, so many great people in the comments. So forgive me for not mentioning everybody, but I appreciate all of you being here.
Well, and I'll just tell people, take 2025 as an important year, because it's a year that if you have not written a book, then write your book. And we've told you how to do that. Contact Lonnie and get done. Just do it.
Well, and Scott is really good with those things too. But I wanted to say that, it is something that I never thought about. But, a book will long outlive you. And now with the digital media and be able to get that on Amazon and so many places, you could have a little piece of your life that will live on, that will encourage and inspire other people, that will inform and educate other people. And so I completely agree that everybody needs to jump in. Everybody's got a book in them. I heard that from a good friend. Who was that? I think it was D. Scott Smith, in fact. So listen, everybody, I am so thankful for everybody here and so thankful for this platform. We're here at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every Wednesday on the Experience Live with Russ and Scott. That is also 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time where Scott is. And so I just want to remind you that you can join us live. If you miss us live, it sits on the platforms we broadcast on: LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Now, today it's not broadcasting on Facebook. We've had some hit and miss on that lately, but it is there on LinkedIn and YouTube. And the best way, I'm telling you, the best way to find out information about us is go to local.theexperience.video. You can click on our YouTube and subscribe. But if you want to make it even easier, just go to theexperience.video. That will take you straight to our YouTube page. You can subscribe today. We're trying to grow that page, and you will get the amazing guests that we've had, all the information about them, how to connect with them, just like Lafaya today. And did we say, please connect with her? Yes, we did say that. Please connect with her today. And I'm going to put this up one more time. Here is all of, let's see, get the right thing here so I can actually put it up there. I'm going to give you all of her information. There we go. It is clickable in the comments, in the show notes. Just go straight to it, click on it, connect with her today. You'll be blessed. And Scott, I think that's all that I have. You have anything before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'll just tell everybody, live the life you choose.
Well, there you go. That wise words from somebody. Trying to remember who that was. It was somebody I know, though. But I am so thankful that I get to live life every day. Thankful for all of your prayers. Thankful for a God who loves me and strength each day, and to live the experience of life today. Experience life, engage life, get out there and enjoy things. And we just love you all for being here. And until we see you next week, Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time. Have an amazing week and enjoy
the experience.
Woohoo! Here we go.
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.